It's been around for a very long time, and for our grandparents, parents, and us, each level of diaspora is different, right? I like Kabhi Kabhi, Silsila, Waqt, Sholay, Lawaris. There's a few that I come back to more. We always say that like a 10 out of 10 brown boy is at the same level as a 5 out of 10 meaty white guy, right? And like
coming back to V.R. Chopra's Mahabharata and Ramayana and I think Vishnu Puran from like back in day, seeing those stories as just objectively as stories, they're amazing, you know?
And we're live on air.
Hi guys, welcome to the 9/9 show, the official episode 1 with Rajesh and Kahaan Hazarika, the struggles of the brown boy.
Yes.
Struggles of the brown boy. I mean, we could go on and on because it's part of us, our skin, our nature, culture, and I think we'll just dive into it and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Welcome to the studio. Officially, we've got now a Rothko painting.
Yes. A temporary filler.
A temporary filler for now.
Yeah.
Should we quickly cheers to episode 1,
Struggles of a Brown Boy.
Struggles of a Brown Boy. Struggles of a Brown Boy. What is your biggest struggle being a brown boy when it comes down to it?
It's just being a brown boy, really. It's just being brown. I love being brown, but it does have its struggles, and in this climate as well, we're living in a
it's very difficult,
very, very cooked climate, anti-Indian climate at the moment, which kind of instills a lot of prejudice onto you from others, even though, you know, British born, very British, just the colour of my skin differentiates me. We should talk about that topic, the topic of the podcast, and why we named it that, because going back before India, almost
before the 9/9 even.
Probably almost 12 months ago. It was the end of summer, early autumn, I think. We were going to start a talk show.
Yeah, we were going to start a show around just before you went to India, and we were thinking about names and like what we could do with it with one of our other producers, Ghislaine. And we were coming up with different names, and like one of the things was we were just talking about how it is being a struggle as like a brown boy.
Yeah. And
it kind of stuck with us like for a bit, like, oh, okay, struggles, and obviously it never conceptualized, and the 9/9 show has become the 9/9 show,
which also kind of, funnily enough, is struggles of a brown boy, because we have really worked hard and faced a bunch of obstacles to get even here. So it's one and the same, I guess.
Yeah, and we had a blast just even conceptualizing all of those. Coming down to the struggles of a brown boy, how is the diasporic community differed from when you first found out about it compared to what it's become now?
Well, the diaspora has been around for as long as immigration's been around, right? So we had mass immigration for a long time, and mass movement across the world, and when that movement happened, diaspora is formed. You know, people that live in a different land trying to hold up the same cultures whilst assimilating into a new culture, and therefore getting a fusion, right? So it's been around for a very long time, and for our grandparents, parents, and us, each level of diaspora is different, right? I think generally grandparents' generation had completely different struggles. A lot more forward racism.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about 60s, 50s,
even
50s,
the 80s
70s,
as well.
80s.
The bashings.
There was a lot of Paki bashings, obviously, in London, in Bradford, in Leeds, across the UK, and in the 70s there were South Asian riots, sort of against that, in protest to that. And I think we sort of found a little bit more harmony into the 2000s around like this British Indian culture forming more, right? I think parents' generation that were raised in this country had a little bit more of a challenge adapting and therefore try to attain the white man power by being that white man, right?
Yeah.
Pushing away everything it meant to be brown or embrace culture to be that white man.
Yeah.
But that's obviously never attainable when your skin's brown.
Yeah.
And I think our generation, we still have those people, but a lot of us are becoming more aware and finding our own power and our own empowerment outside of climbing for white man status and power.
Do you think that difference between coming in and being raised here compared to being born here is a larger difference than our generation's gap? As in terms of now we have more international students coming in, we have more, and they're more being exposed to the Western, even social media, for example.
Well, I think the internet's very important. Like, remember if grandparents were coming here, they wouldn't have really known many people.
Mm.
There wouldn't have been the internet, obviously, so they wouldn't have been able to contact people in the same way, apart from phone calls, when international phone calls were very costly at the time as well. So they were truly alone, working and raising a family in an environment which almost rejected them, right? I know my nana, my mum's dad, came here when he was 16 to work, right, and sent money back, and then his whole family came here eventually. And I think he came here very early on, and that must have been hell, like being in Birmingham in the 60s as a 16-year-old, alone, not knowing anyone, having to build something for yourself.
Coming from a completely different language as well.
Yeah, I mean, they were all in Africa, and they came across, and I can't even begin to fathom how much of a struggle that would have been then, because now we go to a different country, even if we move to a different country, we can still FaceTime our friends and family.
Yeah.
You know, we can go on Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram group chats of people that have come to this country and meet up and have these socials. So I think it was truly difficult,
more at that time.
At that time than for our generation.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
I mean, even now, like with phone technology and stuff, people in different languages are able to access different languages and stuff like that. So I think it's easier for them to adapt to another country than it is from years behind, just traveling there and then just figuring it out for yourself,
Yeah, no, I agree. But I guess we're very fortunate and grateful to be in a situation now where we can freely travel without too much loneliness.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've always got connection to people.
Yeah. But I think also, like, we also have a choice to be alone, There's that difference between, being lonely and alone.
Yeah.
You differentiate that, and, you can choose to be alone. You can never choose to be lonely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. But I think in their situations, they were truly lonely.
Yeah. Because
they weren't surrounded by family, friends, community that had to form. They sort of formed those bubbles of community at that time. And it's only through loneliness you feel what connection really means and stands for, and then you go and look for that, right? But yeah, I mean, the racism has come and gone, it always will, but I think we find ourselves sort of going through social media and seeing all these hate comments and all of the anti-Indian stuff going around at the moment, and there's so many uneducated people who sort of look at Indians and just in disgust, just see all of these bad things that Indians are, even though maybe one or two people have done stuff, but then you can say the same about any community, right?
Yeah.
Any race of people. And if you're looking at white people specifically, if a white person does something bad, not all white people are put into that category, but as soon as a black, brown, any person of colour does something bad, that whole group is now villainized.
Yeah, and I think it's even more exaggerated as well, I think it becomes very, it's very volatile, I think, because with stereotypes are, like, I think, people's biggest enemies, in my opinion, and that in itself, just, like, social media, exaggerating stereotypes have, I think, inflicted in people's minds worse, like, coming back to, like, the EDL stuff, I think it only got worse because it was on the media and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
In reality, when I studied at Canterbury, they were talking about doing these numerous riots on social media, and it was fearful. It was like we were scared.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? We were afraid of coming out of our
there was
house.
a planned riot at North Harrow Library, which, as you know, is
not too far from here.
No, it's not far at all.
Yeah.
And I went to the shops that morning to pick some stuff up because we were exhibiting in Stratford. So we were building the set for the exhibition, and I went to pick some stuff up, and I got there 10 minutes before they were closing at 1, because that whole road was shutting their shops down because of the riots in preparation, and that's just fear-mongering at the most, right?
But when it came down to it, when I was at Canterbury and we were fearing, it was posted literally not too long ago from like our university account page that there's an immigration office, and no one turned up. Matter of fact, there was only one person that turned up, and he was there to defend us. And that was quite nice to see. But it shows you how much social media has instilled fear in, like...
Yeah, but I think it's also... It allows knowledge, false and true, to be spread, and multiple viewpoints, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're consuming media from one end of the spectrum and that's our whole world. We're sort of looking at it more holistically if we choose to, or we just go down that rabbit hole.
Right.
But I remember, back to the riots, we did, with DominAsian, a BBC interview, and that trip to London, we were getting looks, people were saying stuff to us, we were getting spat at for being brown. And after those 3 or 4 days, when it all fizzled out, people lost their confidence to be outwardly racist. But it showed us how many people are actually very racist and just hide it.
Because when it comes to unity, nothing's stronger than unity.
Yeah.
And that could be negative or positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even when we were doing the exhibition in Stratford, I remember like those days where like my mum was scared, being like, don't go today, like today. Just
I mean, our launch was on the day of the riots.
Yeah.
And we had extra security just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a really...
Yeah, racism is truly one of the biggest struggles. You know?
Struggles of, I think also perception of like just brown men. Generally, it's not positive at all in any...
We're not categorized as the peak male appearances, if you will.
Yeah.
I think we're not looked at as... and this might come off for like differences for different people. But I think just like, for example, like Gujaratis, even in the Indian community, are not seen as like, you know, really appealing or good looking, and it's usually like, oh, Punjabis and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's fetishizations within the Indian or the South Asian subcontinent, right? Already, and you've got colorism, that's a massive thing that goes on a lot. But then outside of like the internal community, when you sort of expand your doors out and you're living in a diaspora where you're surrounded by people of all races, I think most Indian men of our age tend to find themselves near the bottom of that hierarchy when it comes to attractiveness, right? There's quite a few other races above us, and then there's all of these other rankings within our own communities, and you know, we always say that like a 10 out of 10 brown boy is at the same level as a 5 out of 10 meaty white guy, right? And like that's just the nature of the society we live in at the moment.
Which is even more funny because like if you see like the exaggerated or like glorified celebrities that are this and that, you can see there's hints of South Asian culture that they've picked up from, instilled it within their own, you know, and have turned it into some sort of beauty. Whereas where it comes from, the raw natural essence of Indians, like saris or jhumkas or just jewelry in general, it's cool. It's cool when other people do it. It's not cool when we do it. And like, I've never understood the reason as to why.
Yeah. It's just double standards in judgment, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of double standards that go around. Like, you know, there's been a big upsurge in yoga, in turmeric,
turmeric use,
supplements or in drinks.
Yeah.
We've been, firstly, doing yoga since the beginning of time, Indus Valley civilization, right? We've got evidence from the Indus Valley civilization of carvings of Shiva in certain yogic poses.
Yeah.
And turmeric as well has been a essential spice in our culture for a long time, and it was used to better health.
Yeah.
Right? And oiling hair, all of this stuff that now white people have sort of taken on, the yoga, the oiling hair, the turmeric, and it's like, oh, this is all really good for you. You know, I remember going to school with oil in my hair and getting bullied. People would say stuff. Yeah. You know, I know many girls have had the same experience with their oiled plaited hair, and they would get looked down on and bullied, and now it's like, it's in fashion, but not when we do it.
Yeah. And even more when it comes from a place of goodness. It never comes from a place of goodness when you're looking back at those memories.
Yeah.
It's never been a fond memory that, oh, I've had oil in my hair, or, you know, I used to have this certain type of thing going, like a tilak, for example, on a special day, special occasion, going to, you know, being called whatever, like, you know, red dot or whatever. You know, it was never nice, but now...
Sniper's laser.
Sniper's laser, if you will. But now it's become like, oh, it's a beauty essence and all of that. And I'm like, where was this like when I was in school, you know?
No, I've got personally nothing wrong against like other people of other cultures.
Yeah.
Taking that stuff on. But it has to come from an educated and appreciative standpoint. A lot of the time it just comes from an ignorant standpoint of 5 years ago I was laughing at this, but now it's in fashion or it's trendy, I'll wear a Scandinavian scarf.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a Scandinavian scarf, you know?
Yeah. But would you say that comes down to just maturity and aging as you grow older? You know, as a devil's advocate, rather. You know, like, when you're younger, you don't know any better.
Well, I think it does depend. So maybe some of it comes down to maturity and aging as you grow older. And I would argue most of it goes down to ignorance. Because it's cool, and in fact, bearing in mind, most people are sheeps. They follow. They can't think for themselves. And when they see something in fashion, they want to jump straight on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're coming from it from an educated standpoint and you're wearing it, or wearing the outfits or the jewelry or the bindis on the correct occasions or the correct situations, you know, if you're going to an Indian wedding or going to the temple or any of these things where it makes sense to, and you're appreciating it and understanding why you're wearing it, I think kudos to you, you know, well done, like, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's when you're going out to a hippie festival and you wear a bindi and you actually really despise brown men, but you're wearing a Scandinavian scarf and some sequins and a bindi, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so hippie, I'm so spiritual. You know, this upsurgence is just...
But, you know, that kind of spirituality is so different. Like, can you see the differentiation between, like, the Western spiritualization and the actual, like, Sanatan spiritualization? Or does it still come hand in hand?
I think, you know, different routes to achieving moksha, to achieving liberation as a soul, are all valid, you know. There is no wrong route of getting there. And I think that's where all religions sort of come into play. Like, they all give you rough guidelines to get to that point of enlightenment. But when it, again, comes down to ignorance, and you're like, I'm spiritual, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a crystal baddie, you know, but you actually don't have any standing in spiritual. You're not in tune with yourself, you're not aware of your surroundings or yourself. You're still at square one. You can put on an act of being spiritual, but I think one of the keys to spirituality is just awareness. That is it. Awareness of the inner and outer world. And I can't say a lot of people have that.
Just to quickly explore that level of spirituality, where did you start, you know, and how have you found your journey so far?
So, you know, I was raised a Hindu. I pushed it away for many, many years out of shame, embarrassment. I didn't want to be brown. I didn't want to be Hindu or Indian. I just didn't want to be associated with that. But I think it was the foundation year summer for me. So I was 19. A lot of stuff was happening, and I felt there was racism at that time, which got me questioning, why don't I like being brown? And I sort of had a moment there of why don't I like being brown actually. There's no reason for me not to like it. Other people have made me feel this way, but I'm at a point in my life where I'm gonna stop giving in to not liking my skin colour because of others, and I'm gonna actually embrace it. So that's when I got into Bollywood. That's when I went into a deep dive of my nostalgia and my attachment to religion and culture.
Yeah.
And then through that, actually, I found spirituality. So I did a lot of research into multiple religions, and then obviously Sanatan.
Yeah.
And I sort of understood, I did a lot of meditation, and I understood that they were all the same. A lot of religions have rules in place to control people. But when you strip back those rules of control or rules of the time, right? So some rules don't apply now because they were written 2,000-3,000 years ago for people to keep people safe and alive then. Whereas now, that's not the same. Whereas, now, you draw on all of them. They all say the same thing. The basic guidelines of being a good human being in touch with yourself and being in touch with the outer world. And through meditation and that silence, you see it anyway.
And that it just comes naturally as well, because if you're growing up knowing one side of it, it's so difficult to push it away,
Yeah.
And so you can only get better by exploring it,
Yeah.
What was one of the most earliest memories you have of researching about something and you found it really like, I never knew about this in the philosophy of Hinduism?
Researching, I think, is a strong word. One of my earliest memories is probably watching the B.R. Chopra's Ramayana and Mahabharata, right? Like, I was obsessed. Like, I've got images of me dressed up as Shiva and Hanuman from when I was like 3 or 4. My family would help me make costumes. I made the crown myself. I had a gada. And those shows really enticed me. And I was obsessed with the lore of Hinduism from a young age. And I can't remember where I sort of shut it out, but that's probably my earliest exposure to it, as well as bedtime stories, or every day to primary school we'd have the album, a CD in the car, and Hanuman Chalisa would be on it, right? And that would play every morning on the way to school. And I remember these really cold winter mornings with my mum's Golf Mark III, right, like freezing, too early, I wanted to sleep, and Hanuman Chalisa would be playing, and then I guess as time goes on, things change. But.
But that's the beauty of it. I grew up the same. I think shutting it away for a while, but I don't think I ever shut it away. I think my mother did a well enough job to be open about, like, you don't have to like this if you don't, but just keep this as a practice. And I never understood why until even like around sixth form uni, when I was around that age, I just started discovering that, like, there's more to Hinduism than thinking it's a strict discipline of doing this, and this. You can't eat this, and this, and you can't do this, and this, right? There's way more to it. And, like, the more I researched into it, the more I realized I really enjoy it. It's amazing. Like, coming back to B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata and Ramayana and I think Vishnu Puran from like back in day. Seeing those stories as just objectively as stories, they're amazing, you know? I mean, it's been recently retold, like, since a decade by Sudipta Bhaumik. Bhaumik, sorry. Bhaumik. Yeah, Sudipta Bhaumik.
Stories of the Mahabharata. By Sudipta Bhaumik.
I mean, we found it at very different times. I think I was going through a lot of stress in exams, and I just wanted to find comfort of home. And I found Sudipta's podcast. But when did you find Sudipta's?
Probably 19, around the same time I was sort of going into all of this. I wanted to revisit the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, and at the time, YouTube, Spotify, look at a short form way of consuming the stories, and I found it then.
And it's amazing because I just keep going back to these episodes, and we just find more and more things. I mean, recently me and you have been, easing and winding down a couple episodes. So anyway, coming back from BR, do you take inspiration from BR's work?
Actually, I guess, his analog way of filming stuff, the sets, the props, everything's just real. There's no proper CGI done. And there's a charm to that in storytelling. Things being analog and tangible, And I think I've also done a collection of props based on mythology, right? So I built a crown that the kings, the gods wear. I built a Trishul, Shiva's trident. I built Gada, Hanuman's mace.
Yeah.
And all of those props, I had some form of them when I was a kid in an iteration that family members had made, and I tried to make for myself. But now I've got the skill set to do so. I can sort of make that and build my own prop universe.
Yeah.
So when we make media, we can
Yeah.
have physical props to use.
Yeah, coming back to the Gada even, it was used in our DominAsian exhibition.
Yeah.
We can even talk about the exhibition
Yeah.
for a second. Under Our Mum's Feet,
Yes.
curated by you guys.
Yes.
How was that? Do you want to go into that really quickly?
It was good. We sort of thought of themes and we went with the nostalgia route. Something that doesn't really exist anymore is those 70s, 80s, 90s South Asian houses that we remember fondly as kids that our grandparents had, with these funky wallpapers, old sofas and furnitures, photos, paintings, box TVs, just home. It felt comfort, pure comfort.
Yeah.
And now we don't really have that anymore, and it's a relic of a time that you find in old photos. So we wanted to recreate something like that.
Yeah.
So we built the set for it, and
in Haifa House even.
in Haifa, it's a Haifa studio space in Sugar House Island in Stratford, and we sort of just built a home. We built a home that we did kind of live in, for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We were there every day almost, and I think it touched a lot of people that came.
So around that time, you were building the space with Ali and Sophia of DominAsian Magazine. Was there any difficulties finding the space, or?
Not really. I mean, it was a long application process, and then we got selected to house the space in that time slot. Then it was just planning. We had quite a few meetings and had to plan in depth what we wanted the space to look like, and where we wanted stuff. And we put out open calls for the artists that had submitted to the magazine for that volume, if they wanted to submit so they could exhibit their work in person, and we got so many responses. So we had loads of artists to choose from, and I think we chose the right ones. I think it ended up feeling like a proper community event for the diaspora, right? It was sort of this home collective bubble for the diaspora where we could all relate on some common ground. So having conversations with new people there was really easy. It wasn't...
With all these other exhibitors there as well, which, other than your one, because I mean you exhibited your Kabi Kabi painting, Gada, this painting, some couple other things. Other than those, what other creators' work did you like at the space?
There was quite a few good works. I mean, there was good photography. I think Meheb photos. There was some really nice photos of stuff. We had some big screen prints as well. I think Kinel did those. And then obviously we had Schumer's work up as well, who was part of the team. Gisleen's book was in the space. There was a lot of artists. But I think more than any individual work, it was the collective that made it the show. And that's a lot, says a lot about community as well. I think rather than an individual, it's the collective of people who make the family, the power in it.
And with exhibitions like that, would you go and do that again? Would you create those ones?
I mean, I'd love to curate some more shows, but I feel like what we're doing now with the clothing, with the film, we're sort of curating a universe. And that exhibition was curating a very small universe. We're doing it on a bigger scale now, and potentially the next one will be a 9-night show with all of the memorabilia, props, paintings, sets that we can exhibit. So when people walk in, they feel like they're in the space.
Do you think other senses like touch, sight, and smell have to do a lot with those type of spaces, or can that be disregarded as long as it's aesthetically pleasing and everything's fitting the same?
No, I think attention to detail is very important, and if you want complete immersion in the space, you need to stimulate all the senses, right? So wallpaper, for example, the texture, you feel the wall, right? That's very important. Having incense burning, that smell is very Desi home, right? Having spices, that smell is also very Desi home. Hearing as well, we had in the exhibition the record player with a lot of the vintage Bollywood vinyls playing in the background, and all of a sudden that is the background music, which then offsets you again to a different time. So I think playing with all of the senses is very important to get someone in a state of complete immersion.
And with sounds like the vinyls you had, where did you find those vinyls and how did you acquire them?
So I inherited about 280 60s, 70s and 80s Bollywood vinyls from my my nanny's brothers. So they were giving them away because they want to get rid of all of that stuff now. Yeah. And they know I really like Bollywood music generally, and vinyls, and like that analog technology. You know, collecting analog technology is something I like doing. So instead of getting rid of them and binning them or trying to sell them, they just gave them to me because they were going to be put to use, and they were put to use. Yeah. So, that's where I got them from, and still haven't listened to over half of them. Yeah.
With the ones you have listened to, which ones has been your favourite to listen to?
That's a tough one. I think there's a lot of good ones. I mean, ones that I've listened to more regularly are like Kabhi Kabhi, Silsila, Vaqt, Sholay, Lawaris. There's a few that I come back to more regularly because I've also got more of a relationship with those films.
Of course.
But yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can have different types of... I've learned to discover films through music, you know. That's why we have Spotify. Spotify is amazing. I found really old songs and for Bollywood. Found really old songs and coming back to where have they come from, and then you're like, oh, it's this film. Have you found one that has hit you so different from the others, or?
Well, it was probably the first one. I had a lot of anxiety in the summer of foundation, and the thing that actually kicked off this journey into culture was my dad asking Google to put on O Mere Dil Ke Chain. And as soon as dun 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 dun, you know, my anxiety went, and that was such a familiar song, and it's a song I still listen to now. I've got so many memories through first year with my old flatmate Arman as well. I listen to it now and it just makes me feel whole. And at the time I didn't know what O Mere Dil Ke Chain meant, right? Yeah. But in retrospect, that song did help me find peace in my heart. And that opened the door to all of this. So I'd say probably that.
That sounds so warm. Yeah. That sounds so beautiful. I mean, there's nothing like it, you know. As it is with struggles of us being brown, there's something so comforting also just being brown, you know. It's so different from other cultures and stuff like that, you know. Is there comparatively something you found that's like, wow, this in this culture cannot be replaced in any other way?
Well, I don't know. I think my only experience in this life has been as a brown man, right? But I think probably family. The familial relationships we have and the extended family we have, it's just expansive. It just keeps going and going and going. And there's a massive bracket of family and support system, even family friends, right? Whereas in a lot of other communities and cultures that I've got friends in, they don't have massive networks of community or family. It's kind of just them, their mum or their dad, not really in contact with the grandparents or cousins or aunties, uncles.
And would you bring that down to culture?
Yeah, well, I think so. And I think also the diaspora. I mean, I can't speak for people in India because I've not been I've never lived in India. But I think in those diasporic brackets where you kind of feel comfort around your people, you tend to stay closer and support and uplift and work in those communities to ensure you're all doing okay. And through that creation of culture, we sort of have that network now, right?
Yeah, I mean, also when you're with family that has lived that life and you haven't, because you're as a diasporic person, you're more keen to gain more knowledge about that life, you know, or that side.
Yeah.
Is that something you're going to instill in your kids one day?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, the world is moving at 100 miles an hour, so we have no idea what the world's going to look like when we have kids, right? Or if we have kids. And I think the only thing I truly would instill in my kids is just being a good person and being aware.
Yeah.
I think awareness is the key to everything. Yeah. As soon as you're aware of your surroundings and yourself, you can put yourself in anyone's shoes. You can see how your actions affect others or the environment around you. You'll then make an active effort to make the choices that will better the things around you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing I would truly instill in my kids. I don't think it's important for them to be fixed in one way or another. I think openness is key.
Yeah. And if they wanted to take another pathway, another religion, are you open to that?
It's not my life.
Yeah.
I'm here to give them the tools to live their life, and it's their job to live it.
They can go on and carry on. That's amazing. Coming back to it, struggles of a brown boy, of course, like, you know, with cars and stuff, that is every brown boy's, like, hobby, I guess, you know? Artistry, Cuzzy, the Bradford and boys like that. Before this episode, you went for a bike ride.
Yes, I was out for 2 hours.
How was that?
Good fun. Good fun. Nighttime bike ride, lots of stops, lots of destinations, and just one with the road. Can't incriminate myself too much.
What is it that you like about riding bikes?
The freedom. The freedom. It's probably one of the most freeing things, and unlike driving, when you're riding, you have to give 100% of yourself to the road and to the bike, and in that you kind of just forget about everything else. You know,
is it the same as riding a bicycle?
No, I think a bicycle is a lot slower.
Yeah.
This is obviously not a big motorbike, so it's more fun. It's more fun, and you do have to just lock in.
Yeah. In terms of locking in, you're now doing your A1 and A2.
Yeah, we'll get A1 and A2 done, and then we can move on to the big bikes.
So for viewers back at home that don't know how a motorcycle license is attained, would you like to go into it really quickly?
Yeah, the logistics of a motorcycle license. You have to do your CBT, which is a day test that allows you to drive a 125cc bike. Then you have to do your theory test for motorcycles, which is different from cars. Then for under 24s, you have A1 and A2. And for over 24s, you've got just the A license. Both tests are the same, but you have a restriction on the horsepower when you're under 24.
Yeah. And is that for manual and automatic, the age difference? Or?
Yeah, I mean, most motorbikes are manual. Yeah. The automatic ones are scooters, normally. You can get, like, the massive bikes, which are automatic, but...
Yeah. I remember someone went to my school. He did his CBT, but obviously when you're under 17, you can only ride like the 50cc automatics. So he just drove into school with a scooter. I think I found it really like weird and stuff, but you found some sort of art behind motorcycles and stuff like that. How would you describe that art?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the ultimate symbol of freedom in the West and the East, actually. I mean, you know, in India, everyone's riding motorbikes because it's the most easy way to move around.
Commute, yeah.
It's cheap, it's small, you get in between the traffic. And obviously, in the West, we've got the whole cowboy culture of riding horses in the Wild West, moving that to motorbikes and having the clubs and... but it is just purely sensational, like physically, right?
And the difference between riding in India and in the West must be so different, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I rode in India, there was no road laws really, so it's just complete chaos. But everyone assimilates to that chaos and is super aware in their defensive driving of others around them. So they make sure they don't hit you for their sake, so you're very safe as soon as you assimilate. Whereas here, there are road laws, but people are less aware because of those road laws and very complacent. So in that complacency, you have to be more careful because while you're riding, someone could just be unaware and hit you.
Yeah. Are you scared of being hit or when you're riding, or does that not even come up as a thought when you're
No, well,
riding?
it comes up as a thought, and you just have to be more aware for yourself on the roads and minimise that risk. So if there's cars potentially pulling out, just slow down and make sure they see you. You know.
But it's just the same as also driving, right?
Yeah, same as driving.
Same as driving. And coming to driving, you also have a love for vehicles in general. So cars, your dream car being a 65 Mustang?
69.
69. So what makes the difference between the...
Well, the 69 Mustang Fastback is a more aggressive model. It looks more aggressive. It's got a slightly longer bonnet. It's got a hatchback-esque, you know.
Just to quickly wrap it up before we end this episode. Do you think the economy will get better for brown boys?
I hope so. At the moment, it just seems to be getting progressively worse. So, at some point, we're going to have to hit rock bottom and go up. So, I hope it does. I hope more people are open to giving us a chance to just entertain a conversation with us, not have prejudices against us.
Remember that we're human, you know?
We are human, and we are also very similar to you. We are British. We are cultured in the same way you are. The only thing that separates us really is our skin, right? Yeah, we've got a whole separate culture.
But we bleed the same.
Exactly.
And that's our last message for everyone at home.
Yeah.
Thank you for a little ramble, yap, and a little bit of knowledge dropped about us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our first episode. We will come back to you more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.